learning what's new. With open minds, we engage and explore. Look a show we inform, in wisdom we store. Through words we teach, and insights we proclaim. Together we grow, seeking knowledge flame. Culture show we share, lessons in the air. Bound by this journey in knowledge we care. Culture show we inform, with truth we write. Building bridges of wisdom, shining bright. Learning what's new. With open minds, we engage and explore. Look a show we inform, in wisdom we store. Through
Hello viewers. We started by looking at civic education, and I did present a video on civic education. But there is more to look at. Our Constitution 2010 brought in leadership and governance that anything that goes to be done and is affecting the public or some other parties must go through public participation. And the way public participation is done is by way of engaging stakeholders. And who is a stakeholder? This video presentation is about stakeholders, but I was just zero in on stakeholders who are supposed to be involved in the context of education. In the context of the Kenyan Constitution of 2010, a stakeholder is generally understood as any individual, group, or organization that has vested interest in or can be affected by the actions or decisions of a particular entity, be it a government body, a project, or a policy. This broad definition encompasses individuals, communities, civil society organizations, and even the media who have a stake in the outcome of an initiative or a policy. You realize that this definition of stakeholder is quite broad, and it has been misunderstood to mean that anytime we have anything going on, anybody will wake up and call himself a stakeholder, go and take part, whether you have information or not, whether you are affected or not. And this is for that reason that I would say that this is not the context in which we would look at stakeholder when it comes to addressing matters to do with education. I now zeroed this down to the definition of a stakeholder in the context of Basic Education Act 2013. And a stakeholder means a person, a public or private institution or organization involved in an education institution and with vested interest for the benefits of such an institution. Remember, this one is a bit specific because it has zeroed in on only an education institution. So when we are looking at a stakeholder here, and when we are looking at matters to do with education, we need to now zero in on matters to do with education alone. And that means that not everybody will fit to be a stakeholder when it comes to matters of education, when we are changing policies or we are maybe coming up with bills and all that. I'm clearing this because anytime we have had issues to do with education, everybody is coming in and claiming he has come as a stakeholder and he needs to be listened to. So if you are going to take part in matters to do with policies of education, then of course you have to make sure that this means a public or a private institution or an organization involved in an education institution and with vested interest for the benefit of such an institution. Then I go now straight to look at, in our case, many documents have been prepared, and number of bills have been prepared, education bills for that matter. The last time I checked in the Ministry of Education, we had around 14 bills. Then there were some other bills which I found in Parliament, as we shall see. That means we are going to address ourselves to why this is important. Many would ask, why is Rockhill show enlightening or focusing on stakeholder? Anytime we have educational matters brought to any level, maybe it may be the county or national level, sometimes people don't go because in the first place they don't know whether they are stakeholder in the first place. So this is for that reason I want to make sure that at least as Kenyans know, anytime we are having matters to do with education, who is supposed to be involved. In Kenya, the education sector is vast and involves multiple stakeholders, each playing a critical role in ensuring quality education for all. The key education stakeholders in Kenya include 1. Ministry of Education. What is the role of the Ministry of Education? The Ministry of Education is the central body responsible for formulating and implementing educational policies, setting educational standards, overseeing the curriculum, and managing the allocation of resources to educational institutions. Now, the Ministry of Education is able to do this through various departments, and we shall mention these departments. One of them is Kenya Institute of Curriculum and Education, KICD, which is responsible for developing the curriculum. And the other one, which is directly involved, is Kenya National Examinations Council, NEC, which manages national exams and assessments. The third agency is the Teachers Service Commission, TSC, which is in charge of recruiting, managing, and regulating teachers. Then the other stakeholder, key stakeholder that we have is the teachers. And what is the role of the teachers? Teachers are directly involved in delivering education to students. They play a pivotal role in shaping the learning experience and are responsible for imparting knowledge, values, and skills to students. Then under teachers, we also have the unions. In our case, we have the Kenya National Union of Teachers, the KNUT, and the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, which represents teachers' interests in the country. Then the other stakeholders we have is the students. What is the role of the students? These are the recipients of the education who engage in learning activities and contribute to the educational process. Their feedback and performance are crucial for evaluating the effectiveness of education systems. Then the other key stakeholders we have are parents and guardians. What is the role of parents and guardians? Parents are vital stakeholders in education as they support their children's learning at home, pay school fees, and work with schools to monitor students' progress. They also participate in school management committees and decision making. The other key stakeholders are the school management. Now, the role of school management at various levels, we have the school boards, principals, and head teachers who are responsible for managing day-to-day operations within schools. They ensure that schools comply with national policies, manage resources, maintain discipline, and implement the curriculum effectively. Then the other key stakeholders we have are government agencies. What is the role of government agencies? Various government agencies collaborate with the Ministry of Education to implement educational policies, provide funding, and ensure that the education system meets national and international standards. For example, the Kenya Education Management Institute, KEMI, provides training for educational managers. Key stakeholder number 7 is development partners and non-governmental organizations. What is the role of development partners? International organizations, NGOs, and donors contribute to the education sector by providing funding, training resources, and programs aimed at improving education, particularly in marginalized areas. And examples will include UNICEF, UNESCO, and the World Bank. Then number 8, we have the private sector. What is the role of the private sector? Private schools and institutions offer alternative educational opportunities in Kenya. They often provide education in urban areas or cater for specific needs such as special education. The private sector also invests in educational resources, infrastructure, and innovations. Then we have number 9, the local communities. What is the role of local communities as stakeholders? Local communities, including village elders and community leaders, play a role in supporting education through initiatives such as building schools, participating in community education programs, and encouraging attendance. They also often help in providing additional resources like land and labor. Then number 10, we have political leaders. Political leaders at national and county levels advocate for policies and reforms that shape the education sector. They often influence funding and resource allocation for education and champion initiatives like the free primary education programs. The number 11, we have the professional associations and accrediting bodies. Professional bodies like the Kenya Association of Private Teachers and universities help maintain standards in education. The Commission for University Education, Q, accredits universities and ensures that the quality of higher education in Kenya is guaranteed. Then we have stakeholder number 12, which is the media. The media plays a key role in informing the public about educational policies, challenges, and developments. Media outlets also contribute to advocacy, public discussions, and awareness about important education issues such as quality, access, and equity. Number 13, we have international bodies. Kenya is a member of global education organizations such as the United Nations, Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, and the Global Partnership for Education, GPE, which influence policies, practices, and funding for education in the country. In conclusion, together, these stakeholders work collaboratively to ensure that Kenya's education system addresses the needs of all students from early childhood education to tertiary education and remains aligned with national development goals. Thank you so much for listening to Flokil Show. I hope with that presentation I have just hinted at who the education stakeholders are. And next time when you hear that education policies are being changed or bills are being tabled in Parliament, then you realize at which position you come in.